Blast me to Bermuda! It's time for the Mad Merlins unboxing of Warhammer 40,000 Imperium. Delivery 20 by Hachette Park Works and Games Workshop. Hello everyone and welcome back to another Mad Merlins video. So today it's time for another Black Bag Day. And yes, that means it's the Imperium delivery. So I was really hoping I had another week of filming, but it's snuck up on me early. So looks like I'm behind again. So I'm really going to have to cram through and do a lot of videos. Luckily though, we have yet again another two-part issue that I can do most of in one go. That's the command barge. And we also have the terrain and our Space Marine ATV. Oops, I've just spoiled what's inside. Oh well, let's have a look then. But before we get into anything, don't forget to, of course, like the video, subscribe if you don't already, and why not drop a comment down below. What's your favourite model from this delivery? I think personally, it's the command barge. But let's take a look inside our bag. So, at the front we got 75, which is our second and final heliotrope reactor. 76, our Space Marine ATV. This is the first one of these I've had, so quite looking forward to putting it together. And then 77 and 78, the Necron command barge. So this is probably one of my most looked forward to models out of the entire Necron collection. This has been one of my favourite models in the Necron range since they released it back in the early 2010s. I think 2011 if I'm not mistaken. They got this. But it is an amazing kit. Can't wait to look through this. So, as usual, we'll open each issue individually. Take a look at the frames quickly and then have a quick flick through the magazine before I give you my final thoughts on this delivery and any other news that I have. So, let's get into it. Right, let's start at the beginning with issue 75. So, this is the same reactor as we had way back in, I think, late 20s, early 30s, something like that. But pretty cool, nice piece of terrain, really big and imposing, perfect for blocking your larger units off with. And yeah, I'm quite interested to see what the two alternate paint schemes are. I have seen them on Planet of the Dead's video. I could just about make out the details. One looks like a very rusted version, and one looks like one that's been reclaimed by the planet almost, because I think it uses a texture paint on. So let's have a look inside the issue. So on the front cover we've got the Leagues of Votann, our second reactor, and it has two paint schemes. So first off, we're introduced to the Leagues of Votann, another inquisitorial port, and it's the most recent addition to the 40k range and lore. So yeah, I do quite like them, but it's just shorter Space Marines, really. I know they have a lot more different and advanced tech that Space Marines don't. But I don't know. I mean, I will probably pick up the Wizard dude. He does look quite nice. I definitely want to paint him up. But yeah, not too bothered by them. Nice lore though behind them. Another inquisitorial port by Rodrigo Pike, this time focusing on the demons of Nurgle. The War for Daravar. So this looks like Chaos versus Imperium. There we are. Harkon the World Claimer himself, the Herald of Abaddon. And then we have a cool story, an obstacle to acquisition. So this features the Greater Furion League of the Leagues of Votann against the Black Legion of the Chaos Space Marines, set in the Galarax system. So that's going to be quite a nice story. It's a bit of a whopper. A nice 2 pages. That's going to be some interesting reading. I must admit they are doing a really good job, and from what I've seen on the Hachette website for the issue 81 and 82, I believe one issue is a 3-page, so that's a 6 sides page story. So that's going to be really good to read, and I think it's including the Sisters of Battle, so that's quite nice. Getting into our build guide for the issue, yeah, pretty much just slap 2 halves of the same thing together and you're done. It does tell you to glue your pipe in a different location this time round, which we would have known if we looked closely at the battle map from issue 59. But yeah, really cool. Put it together how you want, really. But I'm gonna definitely follow along to this. So into our paint guide. So I'll try not to spend too much time on this, but we are applying astrogranite to give a grimy texture. Focus on the lower half of the models. So pretty cool way of using our texture paint. Build it up over a few layers just to help add to that worn and torn look. Base coat the entire model with Abaddon Black. Dry brush all the metallic areas with Lead Belcher. Pick out some of the other details with a dry brush of Runelord Brass. Picking out the very sharpest edges with Stormhost Silver while giving an all-over dry brush of Stormhost Silver. Then the texture paint areas, the Industrial Grime, we're picking out a Mournfang Brown and a dry brush of Balor Brown. Then we're using Cryptek Armor Shade Gloss to add even more grime effects, and some watered down Mournfang Brown and Troll Slayer Orange for a nice rust effect. So yeah, that does look kind of nice. Don't really want to waste texture paint though. So I think I'm going to go for the second version here. So it will match in sort of with the other terrain because it has the same colour as the pipes, but it's a more deserty themed. So we're going with a base coat of Mournfang Brown, picking out the panels of Corn Red, Silver Details Lead Belcher, Cog Mechanicus with Abaddon Black and some of the exhaust edgings. Washing Agrax Earthshade pretty much over everything, just doing it in the recesses on the red though. Nuln Oil on all our Lead Belcher details. Highlighting the reactor with Mournfang Brown, or Balor Brown, should I say. So, picking out that nice edge highlight there. Administration Grey to pick out the black. Evil Sun Scarlet to pick out the red on the pipes and vents. Stormhost Silver for the cables. And then picking out the Corax White half of the cog before giving it a Nuln Oil wash. Relayer with Corax White. Then a final highlight with White Scar. Then we're dry brushing Balor Brown over, followed by Rakar Flesh to give it a nice dusty effect. So the finished picture, yeah, that does look really quite nice. But we also have a touch-up to our previous one, so we're picking out Evil Sun Scarlet on the red details and White Scar there on the skull and white cog. But yeah, that does look kind of nice. Might do it like that, might do it like that. Not too sure yet. Either way, I'm pretty excited to have a second reactor. It opens up a few more ways we can attach and line up our pipes, because we now have 2 open ends of a reactor. So we have the pipes coming off the ends of the reactor instead of just leading into it. And for our battle, so we've got a small area for deployment zone A, and a rather nice big deployment there for deployment zone B, and we got a lot of objectives. So there we go. So 76 brings us a brand new unit for the Space Marines, not our final unit for the Space Marines, because we have Rabute Guilliman still to come, and after that we have the Redemptor Dreadnought. So let's tip it all out. have a quick look at our frame here. So yeah, looks really good. Got lots of details of switches there. We've got choice of either the multi-melter or the Gatling cannon, though the paint guide does only show for the Gatling cannon. Exhaust, we've got the twin link bolt guns there that go at the front. So yeah, pretty cool unit. Not my favourite out of the Space Marine vehicles. It's a better design than the attack bike, but I think I'd still prefer the attack bike, really. It's more iconic and less Mario Kart. But yeah, there we go. We have the gunner there. Should be pretty cool. You could use it as a Primaris Marine in just a rather static pose if you wanted to. But yeah, pretty cool. So let's take a look quickly through issue 76. So we got the ATV, new read articles, datasheet, and a tutorial mission, plus paint guides. So inside we have our battle record for the ATV. Does go into the option there for the multi-melter. We have the name of the actual ATV itself, the honours that the crew have earned, the driver's name, gunner name, and the name of the Gatling cannon. Though we can't really name the multi-melter, sadly. Poor thing. Left out. Background, we got Chaos Demons, focusing on the Demons of Tzeentch this time. Space Marine heroes, we've got a couple of the Silver Templar heroes. So the Silver Templars, for those of you who know, were introduced in Conquest magazine as a brand new chapter, fully Primaris. And at the end of the collection, you had the chance to send off for a special paint set, which gave you 5 intercessors, a lieutenant, a really nicely in-depth paint guide, plus all the paints needed to paint them up following the paint guide. And it even gave you a mission to play using your brand new models. Really cool. I managed to pick it up when they accidentally put it up for £14. I am kicking myself. I really wish I'd picked up 2, maybe even 3. But it is what it was, or is. We also have Chaplain Lampros Hecaton, another member of the Silver Templars. So we have the Sanctus Wall, another part of the Darava campaign. So we see Harkon Worldclaimer, his fleets, and the spear that is part to do with him being the Herald of the Apocalypse. Then we're into our build guide. Pretty simple by the looks of things. It is a push-fit model. So we're just pushing all the wheels into place, sandwiching the 2 halves or 2 wheels in on top of the actual main chassis itself. Gluing in the gun setup and the top canopy, putting our rider in place, adding some extra details, and then gunner, exhausts, and of course the weapon. Does show here for the multi-melter, so it does actually have 2 different settings, so you could easily, if you leave one of these arms unglued, you can just pull it off. Don't glue any of the arms into the gun, and you can easily swap between the 2 guns if you so wish. We do have the rules for the multi-melter, I believe, but the paint guide really just focuses on the basic Gatling cannon. Speaking of the paint guide, we're starting with Abaddon Black, as it is more metal than blue. Then we're picking out blue on the panels, silver on the guns, gold and brass for some of the other details, Mornfang brown for pouches, Mephiston red for your lenses and cables. Then we're giving an all-over wash of Nuln oil. Right, and Flesh Shade, focusing mainly on the gold details, and the brass with an extra glazing shade of Cryptic Armor Shade Gloss, just to give it that sort of heat effect. Relayering Macragge blue before edge highlighting of Calgar blue, picking out the joints and tyres with Mechanica Standard Grey and Dawnstone. Levers of Baylor brown, Stormhost silver on all our metallics, and then finally Wild Rider red on the lenses, Corax White, followed by Tesseract Glow and White Scar for the pilot screen there. And there you can see it's painted up. It doesn't really give any details for all the switches and stuff, but if you don't glue your driver down, you can easily pull them out and reach those with a small brush and pick them out in some nice colours that match in with the rest of the model. Next up, we've got the rules. So pretty cool. Like I said, it gives you both the options for the multi-melter or the Gatling cannon. One is basically an anti-infantry gun, the other an anti-tank gun. And has Angels of Death turbo boost, and it will explode, unlike the other bikes, because it's got more of an engine to it, I'm guessing. So, yeah, pretty cool. Quick tutorial there about heavy weapons and the big guns never tire rule. And then we have a mission called Deep Strike. Another 75 power mission. We have a no man's land zone here, and 2 deployment zones, and we're using 6 objectives. So yeah, we've got the control nodes for the Necrons special mission. So the objective markers of the mission represent Necron control nodes. In this mission, if you control an objective marker at the end of your command phase, it remains in your control unless an enemy takes control of it in subsequent phase. Then we have domination. So this is a updated version of our take and hold objective. So we get 5 points for controlling 1 or more objectives. They control the objective marker in the opponent's deployment zone, and we control more objectives than the opponent. Secondary objectives, we've got the data extraction. So that's for the Imperium player who are trying to understand how the Necrons technology works. But that's it for issue 76. Whew, still a lot to go through. So let's hit 77. So yeah, this is the first part of our Catacomb command barge. And you can't build a lot out of this. You can build parts of the driving seats. You can build the gun energy batteries. You can build the engines, and you can glue the seats and the engine in place on the bottom part here of the command barge, and that is relatively about it. Because we can't do much without issue 78, which has a majority of, well, pretty much the entire model. You can also build the optional Tesla carbine, but yeah. Not a lot you can do without issue 77. You do get bases, so you get a flying stand base with a small and medium flying stand. And we get a 32mm base, which will be used for your Overlord if you want to build him separate, especially if you're building the command barge's alternate model, the Annihilation Barge. Magazine doesn't tell you how, but you can pretty much work it out from the leftover components. So let's dive into 77. We've got a fold out as well to cover. So we got the battle record for our command barge. We got a background information about the Harlequins of the Eldari. Obelisk and Lyric, another war zone featuring the Death Guard and the Imperium. We got a short, is it short? It is, nope, it's a medium-sized story. The Last Laugh featuring the Harlequins and the Imperial Guard there. So yeah, really nice long story. Plenty of insight to another faction of the 41st millennium. Then we're back to the Space Wolves for heroes. We've got Nigel, the Stormcaller, or Njal perhaps. It's really unsure how you pronounce that name. And I think one of my favourite Space Wolf characters, Lucas the Trickster. He's young, he's impetuous, he likes a joke. Reminds me a bit of a younger version of me. Moving into our build guide, like I said, you can't build much without the next issue, but we've got the build guide here and the paint guide next issue. So the two, it does mention to put it into sub-assemblies, so leave your drivers separate, your dais console separate, the overlord separate, and the front prow separate. Then you build the rest of the command barge as a solid component. But it goes together really nicely. It may take a while for the glue to dry on some of these components, because it's a lot bigger than some of the other Necron models we've done before. So, good idea to glue one section, go off and work on another section, then come back when it's dried, and then you can proceed to your next steps. But once we are done, we will have our sub-assemblies like so. As you can see, you attach your Deus console to these little tabs here. The guns will attach to these 3 studs around here, if you choose to just build up the Annihilation Barge. And as I've got 2 of these extra coming, I'll be doing that. So I even got me a couple of spare Lords to put on foot, which would be quite nice, and give me some nice options. Might even use a few leftover components from the Lich Guard to give the Warlord some different equipment. We have a brand new mission that uses more objective markers than we've ever used before, so they give you an extra 4 here. Again, it's 75 power, and we have the upgraded version yet again of the progressive control objective, domination. So you only score the minimum of 5 for controlling 2 or more, 3 or more to get the next 5, and if you control more objectives than your opponent, you get your full 15. We also have the secondary objective, search for the portal. The Space Marines are trying to find the entrance to the tomb, and yep, they need to do that in range of the tomb entrance in that 12-inch bubble in the center there. So yeah, pretty cool mission. Can't wait to play it. I think I'll leave the central area rather sparse and put most of the terrain spread out in the deployment zones. So there we go. And that's a little teaser of what's coming next. We get Big Bobby himself, Rabute Gilliman. So our foldout is a continuation for our Rogue Trader. So this is the battle in the Ardis system and the spoils of war. So yeah, really nice foldout. Gives us a bit of background about a battle that the Rogue Trader got drawn into. Fought alongside the Raven Guard and the Adeptus Mechanicus, as well as fighting against Chaos Cults and various other Chaos baddies. But yeah, pretty cool. Even had a Void battle and salvaging some much needed Archaeotech, etc. Okay, here we go then. Final issue, and it's a pretty big chock-a-block issue full of frames. Okay, so, we got our first 6-page story here, looks like it. So, take a look at the frame. Really nice frame, one of my favourite frames, I think. I just love the croissant shapes that the Necron vehicles have, as I call it. But the crescent shape is really cool. So yeah, there's the Tesla Destructors for the Annihilation Barge. If you so wish to build that, you have, I think it's that component and that component that make up the main weapon mount. And you got the bodies for the pilots and the Overlord. So we got the control arms there. Then we got the Overlord with his royal cape there. And he's got a resurrection orb or a hand to rest on the dais, whichever you choose to build it up with. But yeah, really good. Can't wait to finish this off. Especially my first one. Finish building these and try it out on the battlefield. So yeah, really cool. Into issue 78 then. So we're finishing off our Chaos Demons background with the Demons of Slaanesh. So not a lot in the way of lore, we just have that, plus our story, which features the Inquisition and the cults of Slaanesh. So yeah, nice long story by the sounds of it, 6 pages. Yeah, really gruesome, the Demons of Slaanesh. That's pretty cool. The Carnival of Excess. And then we have our build guide. So, as we've left it in the sub-assemblies, we want to paint the command barge, the prow, and the command panel in lead belcher, the overlord and the crew in Runelord brass, picking out the armor panels with Abaddon black, as well as the prow, the in-between areas on the command panel, and in-between joints on our crew and overlord. Then we're picking out Runelord brass on some of the gold brassy details on the command barge itself, lead belcher on the crew and overlord, starting to put the washers on, so non-oil over all our metal silver areas, including the royal raiments on the back of the overlord, cryptic armor shade gloss on all of our Runelord brass areas, giving it that nice glow, or well, sheen, should I say. Then we're picking out Stormhost Silver on all of the metallic areas. Nice lot of detail to pick out on this kit. Yeah, you can really just take your time when doing this. You don't want to rush it. Picking out the black areas of Administrator and Grey, including all the joints in the arms and around the weapon haft as well. Next, we're picking out all the control nodes, etc., and any bits of engine, piping, eyes, with our Corax White. Picking out the Overlord's face with Corax White as well. Then we're picking out all what we just painted white with the Tesseract Glow Paint, before picking out finally a nice highlight of white scar on the glowing areas and an edge highlight of white scar on the head. And then we're doing the usual painting for the Overlord's War Scythe, and I've told you before, I'll tell you again, not much a fan on their method for doing things. It looks good up until you start adding the yellow. After that, it just looks really weird and horrible. So I'd leave it at black, perhaps do some extra details with a little bit extra Tesseract glow. But when we're finished, that is what our awesome model will look like. And it does look really amazing. Really looking forward to fielding this guy in battle. So yeah, it's just reminding you to clean up the contact areas before gluing. So yeah, make sure you make use of some sticky tack to protect the areas from getting too much paint on them. Finally, before we get into the game, we have his rules. So he has a War Scythe, the Gauss Cannon, and the Tesla Cannons, which is the optional weapon. He also has a Resurrection Orb. And yeah, the only option is to swap the Gauss Cannon for a Tesla Cannon. He has My Will Be Done with a base range of 9 inches. So the command barge gives him that +3 inch range. And each time a model unit makes an attack, obviously add 1 to your attack roll. He has a Relentless March, so again, same as a normal Overlord and Royal Warden within 6 inches, adds 1 inch movement. It has Quantum Shielding, so the same as the Triarch Stalker, 5+ invuln save, and can't be wounded on better than a 4. It explodes, and has the Hover rule, so we measure distance from the hull, not the base. So that means we'll measure from most likely the furthest point on here, but you could argue that the hull doesn't start until you get to here. But I'm always going to measure from this bit myself. We have a couple of tutorials there, so hovering and line of sight rules for large models. So units that opt to shoot at the command barge are considered to have line of sight if they can see any part of the hull. So yes, the front bit there, the top bit there. As a command barge does not have infantry, beast or swarm, it does not gain the benefits of cover from being behind this terrain feature. Therefore, the Tech-Priest Dominus can shoot without penalty. And got a nice cool tutorial for how to make use of the hovering ability and moving. Right, Into the Breach is our brand new mission. So it features pretty big game. Again, it's 75 power. We have a triangle deployment, so I'm guessing the Necrons will be player B for this particular mission. Yes, the Imperium is player A, so they have that 9-inch deployment zone at one end. We have 4 objectives in a crisscross section, and then we got this 11-inch by 6-inch gate here, which I'm guessing. So yeah, our end objective, if the Imperium player adds up the power rating of all friendly units within the red zone on the map below and scores a number of victory points equal to that total, so a maximum of 15. So basically we need to get all our guys here, otherwise we can't really score much. But we score points for holding the objectives anyway. So yeah, there we have it. And like I said, next issue is the big guy, Robute Gilliman himself. Building and paint guides, data sheets, and loads of background lore about him as well. Another model I'm really looking forward to. He's been on my paint radar for a while. I'm only getting the one which comes through my subscription. And while the paint guide worked well for Calgar, I am really thinking I might do Robute my own way. I'll see what the paint guide's like, but yeah, really thinking I'll do it myself. Right, let's bring everything back in and I'll give you my final thoughts for Delivery 20. And there we have it. That is our delivery for Imperium, Delivery 20. Yeah, this is definitely a 5 out of 5 delivery. The weakest point, I think, for most people will be a train, but for me, it's the ATV. Never been a big fan. But definitely the winner has to be the command barge. It's one of my favourite Necron models. And yeah, it gives you a nice lot of stuff to paint and build. I'm definitely going to be doing my classic Saltec Dynasty scheme. And like I said, I'm going to have 3, 2 of which will be the Annihilation Barge for my own personal collection. And 1 will be the Command Barge for both my collection and the magazine collection. So, like I said, not too sure how I'm going to paint the reactor. But the deserty theme one is probably the strongest out of those 2. Or I might just paint it the same as the first one. All in all, though, this has been a great delivery, nice lot of lore, nice big story to finish in the delivery in issue 78. So, definitely looking forward to doing a double bill. I still have 2 issues left to film for delivery 19. So that's the Fire Strike Server Turret and the Locust Heavy Destroyer. The good thing is I have 1 Destroyer built and painted from my Christmas box a couple of years ago. The varnish, I think I applied a little too thick and it's gone creamy there. It's not very nice. So I might have to repaint over this guy at some point, just picking out some of the armor panel details again. But yeah, I've got one of those ready to roll, so I can go straight into the mission without having to build up the one that we get. Although I will build them up eventually, because I do want to use 2, as I have said in my battle report for 72. That should be up soon as well. This one will be up first, most likely, though. And yeah, I think that is about it, because I've rabbited on for 35 minutes now. So yeah, thank you again for watching. Oh, I said that first time. Thank you for watching. Be sure to, of course, like, comment, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, let me know what you thought of this delivery in the comment section down below. And don't forget, there are all my links, including my now active Patreon. I'm still working out the tiers. There's a one tier at the moment, which is the basic tier. For just £3, you can help keep biscuits in my cupboard, tea on my desk, and of course paints and the lights on. This will give you bonus access, early access to videos, some other small benefits as well. Like I said, I'm still working out things. There's going to be bigger tiers. There's going to be a specific tier exclusive just for unboxings, another tier for magazines, and another tier for the Hornby TT range that I'm doing. So anybody who wants to help support my TT model railway hobby, there will be a tier for you to donate towards the building construction of the railway itself. So now I can say thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time for more mad content. Goodbye.